Educational games, or edutainment, their officer nickname, been the idea of, hey, what if we combine video games and learning into one whole entire thing? The end result? Usually seen as a plus side of infamy and stuff people generally don't want to have associated together, but there are some titles that do combine together very well. I remember playing some as a kid, one of which I was at a school that was so popular, the teacher burned a copy for everyone in the class in order to have, because people just enjoyed playing the game that much. So there are some winners, and it makes me curious to see how many edutainment lines of games are still being made, especially nowadays when, online and gaming is a lot more popular and everything, so I am curious to find out. The first thing I have to mention this are the Lightspan adventure games, because I actually was someone who did get given one of these things from elementary school, and despite this being a pack of PS1 games made in the late 90s, they gave this to me in like 2006, where by that point the PS3 was coming out, but details. And I remember getting this and being like, oh cool, a PS1 I got from freaking school? That's freaking intriguing. And then they gave me all the discs and I'm looking through and I'm like, I don't know any of this. And that's why I find out they were all educational games, and the fact that there were so many of them means I can't even remember the ones I tried, because no, I did not go through all of them. I just went through maybe one or two to see what they were about and was confused. I was also confused when they gave me no memory card, considering PS1 games generally need those, but these games didn't, I guess. Only one I remember, which I'm not gonna be able to try to find, was one that had the gimmick of playing this racing game, but in order to move the vehicles, you had to solve math problems, or one that involved also being a wizard, but through the power of math. At that point, it even wizardry and magic, so that's more like a science where I had to do math equations, but the whole entire thing, when it came to the thing, basically, hey, let's take this whole entire idea and try to make it more educational. On top of the fact that it made these Lightspan adventure games also had live action FMVs and stuff like that, or even just a whole lot of 2D animation to go along with it. It's just one of those things that, okay, I get the idea that you're partnering with Sony and schools in order to have this whole entire thing, we'll try to give it to kids. I just wish the games weren't so aggressively slow. I know, they're made for small kids, but at that point, when I got one in 2006, I was like, what are we doing here? No, not over it. Not over the fact that there are so many. They gave me an entire box filled with these things. I remember the box, everything, with how many of these games were in it, and looking it up, there's apparently like 36 titles in total and everything. Like, my goodness. At that point, I didn't even use the PS1 much that I got. I think I used it to try and play like, I can't remember actually. I think I just didn't use it at all. I didn't think about it. I got a PS1. I got given a PS1, a console that I had when I was even a younger kid, and I didn't even use it much. Mostly they didn't give me a freaking memory card. The JumpStart game series. This I also remember playing before I even was actually in school, which also made me remember which JumpStart game in particular that I actually played. I just remember it was part of the JumpStart series, and that my brother and sister also played them. But just one of those things where, hey, here's an educational PC game, and an entire series of them on PC as well that they kept making many of when it came to this. I like the one that just Haunted Island, where it's just, hey, how do we get kids to learn? Oh, I know, try and make it more horror and scary theme. Try and do math while you're being chased. Sure, it's not a fast chase, but the pressure of it at all makes it so you gotta learn to do math fast, which honestly, I do like that aspect. I remember as a kid, had a third grade teacher who did have her own kind of idea of trying to get kids to do math fast and make it to a competition kind of thing. So I like the idea, even if the way kind of a context of, hey, a ghost chasing you, think fast kind of thing. Or the fact of, hey, this whole entire labyrinth, this whole entire thing gotta explore it in first person in order to solve these whole entire questions, and just really cool ideas, the way they try to spice up once I think educational. Like I said, it's a goofy premise, but hey, it's a fun one. Or this one that involves just trying to get food for the kids, but they used actual pictures of the food of them, so the player will be more familiar with it and everything when it came to something like this one for JumpStart first grade. It is one of those things where it's just like, I get the whole entire contrast, but it's just so funny to look at. On top of the entire eating animation for the kids, or the kids will just ask for an entire plate of one food. There's a kid in this footage who asked for just an entire tray of nothing but asparagus and gulped the entire thing down wholesale. Like, they knew to also have fun with and everything, since they're making games for kids who are trying to also learn. So that's a cool way of having an educational game. Having fun with the idea rather than just trying to present it in the most blandest, uninteresting way possible. I know many don't see it as one, but I am going to include the Typing of the Dead, an entire parody of seeing the premise of House of the Dead 2, but replacing the light guns with keyboards and you having to spell everything. For those things that I see people constantly mention because of the goofy premise of the whole entire scenario, but it is a form of teaching by requiring you to type in the words correctly, and they don't just go with always simple words, some get more difficult in order to actually type out. So it's one of those things where I know it is considered an educational game, depending on who you ask. It's just not the kind of educational game that people generally think of when it comes to the idea of an educational game, mostly because people think an educational game is one that's talking down to children, and this is a whole entire parody of an arcade horror title and everything. But it is a cool example of one just being this goofy thing that you are learning in the background to figure out how to type out the words the game is putting up front. Rockman Dash, Great Adventure to Save the World, a licensed Mega Man Legends game that has pretty much nothing to do with Legends aside from iconography, that was made by Strawberry Software in Taiwan. Basically, hey, let's make this educational kind of Mega Man game using the Legends IP, with the main thing educational being the fact that it's a quiz game with Mega Man Volnut needing to solve questions or to disarm the bombs that Teasel Bomb set in the city. But that's not all the game has. It also has entirely different modes, whether it be an entire mode that involves doing block puzzles, I hate those, or one that involves you to go through an entire maze filled with Reaver bots in order to collect crystals and try to escape. That has different features as well, which is just something a lot of educational games do. Have a lot of side modes that aren't just purely we're trying to teach you something, but some that are just, hey, here's some goofy fun as well and everything. There's also just several modes in this title, and just a game I didn't even know about when it came to more educational licensed games, let alone one using the Mega Man Legends IP and everything, because I was gonna think to just cheese Mega Man Legends 2 that has that 100 question quiz, they can't get a question wrong, and generally ask you questions from the real world. And generally, it was purely questions from the real world with stuff like that. It just got so ridiculous, the questions they asked you, and trying to do that with a guide for a child? Who are they kidding? They did not want you to beat that quiz in Legends 2. But also to have an entire quiz game little title that's licensed does actually make sense, even if the execution looks so ridiculous that people think this is a fan game and not an officially licensed game. Another licensed out title, Mario Teaches Typing for the PC. No one was like, hey, we license out the Mario IP in order to make this whole entire game. This is one that's more, well, I don't say fully known, but more so known since the Mario educational games are more known about, though most usually think of Mario as missing. But hey, when we made an entire Mario game, just teach you typing, whether it be needing to use certain letters by typing them out very quickly, as a sense of basically quick time event, basically, or one that requires you to type out entire sentences in order for Mario to actually make progress. And by God, I can't stop looking at this Mario sprite because it's just so uncanny and wrong. It just looks so weird. The way he runs, the way he hunches over, I just can't stop looking at it. But it's one entire thing of, hey, there's a simple thing of, let's have you type stuff out as Mario does the thing, in order for you to progress everything. It even keeps track of your words per minute. Nice! I like that aspect. But hey, just you get a little fun animation of Mario doing things, as you are also learning aspects how to do things. And I like the fact that the words being typed out are also more complicated, aren't just fully basic stuff. And the fact it also keeps track of the fingers as well on the keyboard, with generally what hand you would be typing out realistically with the gloves of Mario. Really cool touches this game has. Though I know it's mostly known for Mario Teacher's Typing 2, I believe, not sure if it's the first or second one, that has a funny Mario head that tries to talk to you and wants a computer. So I know it's mostly known for that, but hey, here's just having fun educational time with Mario. Math Missions, The Amazing Arcade Adventures, grades 3 through 5. This is one I explicitly remember playing in school, and was the one that was so well liked by the students that the teacher would actually burn copies or able to actually keep and play at home. I just like the way they do the setup for the educational stuff. Like, hey, how do we teach them about freaking currency and all that and do math with that? Well, here's a mannequin where you have to put the clothes on it, but try to collect the amount actually add up properly, while also fulfilling the requirements of how much clothing the mannequin actually has. How we teach shapes? Do this one entire construction setup where they're trying to pretty much complete this one entire thing, and they try to figure out how to make the shapes actually fit. Usually having some sort of pattern next to it so they get an idea what needs to be done and stuff like that. Teaching charts everything, try to get them the charts, and try to tell them these certain data they need to actually figure out and solve. I just love the way they handle it, and also the fact that the game's premise, I believe, is essentially about a giant corporation that's trying to take over the neighborhood, so those are talking about gentrification, and on top of that, well, and the main thing I know a lot of people focus on is the arcade aspect, that once you beat the game, you get the ability to run the arcade, and now you're managing a business and doing stuff like that, doing costs, doing profits, aspects like that, where it's just done in a more fun and interesting way when it comes to how this game tries to present education. It's just a really cool way of handling the entire educational game by just making it more about fun while also still being the educational title. I tried to look up edutainment titles on PlayStation 5, and the results I got were either stuff like, oh, Astrobot because it teaches motor skills and spatial awareness and stuff like that. I'm like, listen, I think I can say for a lot of games, the educational aspect of certain things required to do and everything in the game, but I was trying to find specifically educational games for PS5, so I'm not counting that. And then GameStop said, oh, educational game, how about the Somnium files, which... You're not wrong, but I'm not looking for an M-rated video game, and I hate the fact that I have to say you're not wrong about it. But, you know, that starts to feel the fact of, I'm starting to think there aren't really any edutainment games for current consoles, or at least not one that aren't just those freaking scam games, or just, oh, we made something in like 2 seconds, and then slapped it up on the freaking PSN store because they allowed them to just do that all the time. You know it's bad when there's a title of like, oh, learn the letters, it's for pre-K, that requires a PS5. Oh, and also the game is blatantly one of those games people play because it gets easy platinum trophy and not anything else. Oh, goody. So, this was a lot more difficult to find more current games like this than I thought. MathLand, which can be played on PS4, PS5, Nintendo Switch. Granted, it is a port of a mobile title. Before a port of a mobile title, I do like the aspects that while it does have the learning math aspects of addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, but it also has just fun little segments such as platforming and stuff like that in order to actually break up the monotony of just doing the math sections, as they're very simple in nature, and also the game's taking advantage of this whole entire pirate adventure setting with the fact of, oh, you gotta be on a ship, oh, you have an enemy pirate to go after, and stuff like that. So It ain't really cool in that sense. It's just the fact that as a kid, if I found out you paid $6 for this, I would annihilate you because for $4 you could have bought Somnium files. Big Brain Academy: Brain vs. Brain, a Nintendo Switch title published by Nintendo themselves, with not only being an educational game, but having also a big gimmick on the multiplayer competitive aspect, being purposely designed so that way age isn't a big factor when it comes to the competition. Try to make it so even a kid versus adult still has a fighting chance when it comes to it, not just get curb stomped. Let's be real, there are some adults that will lose badly and give those kids an ego trip. But one feature that I like is the fact that it has ghost trials for players, or the fact that you're able to have your own ghost ID and then go up against the ghost of other players, so you don't always need to be connected online and multiplayer to play with them. You can also just play with the ghost of an opponent and basically just their recording, which also means to be horrified if you're playing the ghost of someone who can answer the questions way faster than you can even process them, kind of thing. But it's just a cool way of doing it, top of the fact that it also lets you have a little avatar thing, lets you to give certain information, say the age, say what status, or even a little catchphrase as well with it. It's just a super cool way of doing an educational game, of trying to emphasize this competitive aspect so people can better each other through it, as well as learning solo or with the ghost data. The more I look into it, the ghost data may be the only big feature of this particular entry of Big Brain Academy, and that the Wii title was better and had more going on, but I'm trying to find something for a more modern educational game. Okay, I'm struggling here. Kerbal Space Program is another one I've seen people vouch for, saying that while you still need to know the math yourself, it can do a lot to help you when it comes to learning about space and physics, with people saying that they would actually start out with learning for Kerbal Space Program and then go into degree routes in order to get their degrees in astroengineering and stuff like that. So it does help with that aspect, even mostly seeing people just do the more goofy stuff with Kerbal Space Program. I did learn that there is a educational version of this game, but it seems to be defunct because I can't find it, and their website says its connection is not safe, so I ain't risking it. I also won't play Kerbal Space Program 2 here because the Steam page told me everything I need to know. Overwhelmingly negative, the dev team got fired, it's in early access, and they aren't actually getting the game anymore, so just stick with the first game if you have any interest when it comes to Kerbal Space Program and learning more about space and physics. Portal and Portal 2, always cited as also being educational titles, since the way they teach certain aspects like, well, as GLaDOS puts it, speedy thing goes in, speedy thing goes out, or the problem solving with the fact of needing a visualized solution in the room going on, and then adding even more complications for Portal 2 with the gels, but also because of the fact of in multiplayer, you now have more portals to work with, which means a lot more complication to work with as well. But what I only now just learned about was the fact that Valve also made an educational version of Portal 2 that was exclusively used for schools free of charge, which means there is no actual official public release of it, as the keyword being official public release, but just the fact that they made a separate version of Portal 2 that does include a single player campaign because of the fact it needs to use it for teaching, but also has its own version of making puzzle rooms with its own new cube, the contraption cube, to allow modifying certain aspects like its weight, and it's just the fact of, once again, there's something I've never seen Portal players ever bring up, which granted, to be fair, since it's exclusive to schools only, why would they bring it up? But it's one of those unique aspects of taking Portal and then making a special educational version as well, and then making it exclusive for schools, but also having their own exclusive features, rather than some versions of educational versions of games that just decide to remove certain aspects of the games, make an educational version. Here's a single player campaign, may missing certain features, but here's some new features as well in order to help the teachers actually use it in order to teach certain aspects using the game. I feel obligated to mention Oregon Trail. even if I don't really feel like it's truly educational. I don't know, it's just me, but every time I see someone play Oregon Trail, it's never about actually learning the history of the stuff going on with the setting of the game. They're always cracking jokes about the 5 billion ways you can die, which is also educational in itself to highlight the condition of the trail and just how difficult it was to even make it alive. Also the fact that I read that there are some people with their classrooms, they have it set up to where they could see their classmates' tombstones on their journey. I never got that. Then again, never had a teacher actually use Oregon Trail at all, ever. Only ever played on my own time, so there's that too. But just the fact of, I have to mention it here because it's an obligation to mention the Oregon Trail, and the fact that I got many versions, or the fact that I read the people who created Oregon Trail also never even profited from the title, despite how well known the title ended up becoming when it came to schools and educational settings. Of course, gotta mention Minecraft as being an educational game, with the contents in the game, just how you build things, construct stuff, or just games process, is also an educational experience in itself, but also the fact that it does have its own version of Minecraft for schools, Minecraft Education Edition, so there is also an entire version of the game that the teachers should be using, because if you're using basic Minecraft, then the kids are just playing Minecraft and not necessarily any educational part of it. And Minecraft Education does also have its own separate stuff that it gets as well when it comes to certain little bonus expansion stuff or something to help teach certain aspects. So Minecraft itself, while from the get-go wasn't exactly thought of to try and be a big educational game, is a good example of an educational game that teachers are able to use nowadays, if the school allows it, because schools hate fun, in order to try and teach students. Although some have noted that, one, you can still beat Minecraft Education Edition, so nothing stopping kids from just beating the game in that sense, even not be as simple as the original version. And two, apparently some due to the fact that because Education Edition is based off an earlier version of Minecraft, some feel like modding Minecraft may be a better alternative to being an educational edition than the actual dedicated education edition of Minecraft, but that's once again based on person to person and everything going on. That's all I want to talk about when it came to educational titles or edutainment, mostly because I want to focus on more of the games in the past, because I was interested in seeing what kind of games nowadays for edutainment title. A lot of them seem to be more either simulator titles, like one that I left out, trying to find one for Xbox, was PC Building Simulator 2, which, like, again, it is educational in the sense helping you build a PC, but again, not exactly what I was looking for. And the fact that I tried to find one for modern systems, a lot of the results were just instant popular game that's rated E, which, yeah, playing a game does teach things innately when it comes to that, but I'm trying to look for something that's more specific about it kind of thing, you know? So, one of those aspects where I was trying to find something more modern, but couldn't exactly find the best examples of it. Could they seem more either baked into mobile titles for the phones, or phone ports, or there's just so many games that just blatantly call themselves educational game, but in reality is probably just some random shovelware that is just there to cash in on naive parents. And I do know for some people, another form of education with games is the fact of some people try to learn another language through playing a game and everything, or even learn their first language. I remember instances of trying to learn parts of English when it came to playing Ocarina of Time, and other people having such memories of certain titles, and there are people who try to play games in different languages in order to help reinforce their knowledge of learning a language as well. When it comes to that one entire aspect, like I said, there are some innate traits that come with education upon playing a game. I'm just trying to focus on ones that make it their main goal of the game and everything. So I gotta say about it, go out there, play games that can be considered educational or not, because not a lot of them seem to be made, or at least like I said, there aren't just some shovelware mobile title or everything. So go out there, try and play educational games, everything. I know there are many that are just web browser based, typically for schools. I remember one that was played in high school of all things, that were web browser based to learn Spanish. It was very weird, but there are some that moved on to web browsers and all that. So like I said about that, alrighty then, good day.